it here. Who's under? Who's under?
Yes,
Good, Charlie, find another pocket so you can get it. Macca, let's be here.
Go, Lee! Go, Lee!
Charlie, can you get it and play Macca here?
Yes, Ollie!
Charlie, higher, we got the ball. Let him play, Charlie, give us somewhere to go. Play through it.
Gotta recover! Recover! Get in the box, Elise, in the box! Hey! Well done, take your time to kill it! T, you take it! Jaden, stay home!
Yeah, I thought that was so hard.
Yeah, T, go! T, go! Molly, into the block!
I realised my mate was commentating
As long as you said yes, I am. And
Alia, here. Macca, here. No, Macca, they need you. You can be here.
oh, actually, no, he's my
The week I messaged you.
Take one out of the wall. What do you need a wall for?
Lily, get set.
2-0.
You rocked up like 6 minutes before I was like, dude, just can you message me half an hour before you get me? Just let me
Good
know.
boy.
That's why I made that group chat. I wondered why you made that. It's also just it's something different or whatever. More just because I like love being in contact with you all. And I've tried to tell my team like, guys, I look all like everyone, I mean, yeah, and that's what I just say. It's very rare that it's like, yes, pretty rare for an emergency. Anyways.
Macca, where's the next one go when she has it? Go up. On Macca.
Yeah.
Good, now forward, Charlie.
He's not going to be on for a while.
Keep going, don't give up!
How do they use it? Okay. Where Zany feels like he's setting jinx past him Friday night has been on paper.
Charlie, we don't need you there. She's fine. Higher.
Oh, that's
But again, I completely.
Macca, they've got so many fires. 4 on 1 here. You can be higher. Stop putting the ball out.
T, take it again!
Well, you just don't think, right, when you're coming off and you just get into the bench and that's kind of your spot, and I'm like,
it's the same with you're the biggest one.
Off you go, T, you can go! Get in the home!
I'm trying to find another leg. Especially when there's no commentary.
Well, that's
Charlie,
worse.
Charlie, leave her. Come here. Alia, out there.
He just went. Like the video that put him like another girl that came up to him and
Years ago. Yeah, so kind of the first game that we did was the Thursday night.
oh, yeah.
And it's just like,
For the first grade women's league final, to have all the mothers that are working out with the players head over to the entrance to the pitch box.
And Dennis took me to point. I just want to know what
It's like with Magic who's on straight duo transition. You know, if you were my team and you're on the bench, yeah, you could, I know you're getting paid, you know, down the back.
Lily, higher. Lottie, out.
Worry about staying out.
Lily, get the ball. Play Macca's feet.
stay and dry in the full track, so that turns out to be the reason. She's like, I don't want to get wet. I wondered what was going on, because they all went out to warm up, and then she was like 3 minutes later just wandered out.
What did she do? Injury-wise?
I don't know, I didn't know what she did.
She's been playing rugby league.
She had before.
I don't know, with us and stuff.
Oh, from Macquarie. Yeah. That sounds silly.
Videos on Instagram. Like fullback or something like that.
There's certain points where you could have some fun with life. Isn't anything worse now. I had one going to the league last year and just so sore, busted up afterwards. I'm like, yeah, that's a good comment. Good afternoon and welcome to the Lake Macquarie Regional Football Facility for what promises to be a cracking League Cup final. It's Maitland FC and Charlestown Azzurri going head-to-head in the 2025 Northern New South Wales Women's League Cup decider right here on the synthetic stage at Lake Macquarie Regional Football Facility. A late afternoon kickoff under very grey skies with rain about and plenty on the line. The Magpies are chasing back-to-back cup titles while Azzurri are hunting their second trophy of the year after claiming the Charity Shield in pre-season. Maitland, they've been flying high in 2025, unbeaten across all competitions and sitting atop the NPLW ladder. They cruised through to the final after a semi-final win over Adamstown and bring with them the confidence of having beaten Charlestown 3-0 earlier this year. But this is a cup final. Form guides don't mean a whole lot. Heath White's Azzurri have rebounded strongly since that defeat. They've knocked out Lake Macquarie and Olympic on their way here and are hungry to get one back tonight. The pitch may be neutral, but both sides will need to adjust to the quicker synthetic surface, and it could make for a game of transitions, tempo and moments. It's the Magpies and the Blues, silverware on the line, and two clubs loaded with quality. Strap yourselves in as we wrap Female Football Week in the most fitting way possible. Two top teams battling for the 2025 Women's League Cup. I'm Chris McPherson, bringing you all the action, and joining me for the call tonight is a player who knows exactly what it takes to rise on the big stage, Tara Andrews. Tara, what are you expecting from the showdown?
Well, I think the top two teams are going to put on a big show for us tonight. I think, it'll be a really good game to see. We're mid-season in the NPL competition, and Charlestown and Maitland are fighting for that top spot. So it'll be really exciting to see. It's obviously a bit of a wet pitch, so the ball's going to move fast, and it's going to be a very quick game to watch.
Certainly going to be exciting. Lots of thrills on the synthetic surface, a little slippery, as you say. We're about to be joined by the teams, or at least I hope so. They're forming up and getting ready. As I said, it is the wrapping of Female Football Week for 2025, which has been exciting to see, the celebration of all of the wonderful females that contribute to our game, not just the players. And speaking of that, our players tonight, when they're coming out, as they're about to make their way out, will be joined by some significant females in their lives, whether that's their mothers or other family members, or just a female that represents a significant piece of their football journey. Just waiting as our referee Alison McCready and assistant referees Tess Brumfield and Helen Wilkinson lead out the teams. And the two teams led out by their respective captains as they get set. Maitland in their predominantly white tops, Charlestown Azzurri in a traditional blue. Tara, some of the names to watch. We were talking about it before. Gemma Simon, a surprise one starting off the bench, but both benches have some punch. But let's talk starting 11s. Who stands out for you?
Yeah, look, I think you can't go past, obviously, Melina Ayres and Maddie Gallegos for Charlestown. Two powerhouses up front that have scored a lot of goals in the NPL so far this year. And then if you look across to Maitland, someone that's been scoring a few goals and playing really well is obviously Sophie Stapleford and Georgia Amos, combining really well up top. So I think those will be the sort of the people up top that are going to cause some problems for both teams.
A name for me to watch, and we see her almost last in line there, is the South African international Mary Inswang. She has been absolutely electric and just continues to find her feet as she continues to build her time at Maitland, a new signing to them. But you never underestimate someone who's had some time playing at the Olympics. Admittedly, a couple of years ago, Mary will admit that, I think it was 2012 in London.
I mean, it doesn't matter, right? You've still played in the Olympics, and she's still playing, obviously, some fantastic football for Maitland this year, and she's scoring lots of goals. I think she got a hat-trick against us when we played them first, so she's got lots of goals in the back pocket, and hopefully she brings some out today.
And then when we talk about those benches, obviously Gemma Simon's one, but on the other side as well, Josie Morley, that's a wonderful story, coming back from an ACL injury, and now only a matter of weeks later she's out here. We understand limited minutes on the synthetic pitch, which is understandable because it is a little slipperier. It's not quite the same traction, but the impact that either of those could have could be huge come late in this game. Yeah,
well, I think the last game I called here, Gemma Simon scored a volley from pretty far out in the box, so we know she can put those away as well.
As we see the teams now going through, shaking hands with the match officials and their opponents. It's a very busy celebration out there of all the wonderful women that have been part of these ladies' journeys as they've gotten to this point in their footballing careers, and it's wonderful for them, I guess, on Mother's Day to be able to have them with them here celebrating and watching them take part in, you know, one of the showpiece events of women's football in northern New South Wales. Yeah,
of course. I think, you know, all the mums out there and all the women supporting these girls have probably sacrificed a lot and driven them to training, you know, when they've been younger, lots of times every afternoon. So for them to walk out tonight, there's lots of smiles on their faces.
And of course, a reminder, of course, happy Mother's Day to all the mums tuning in. Again, without all of our wonderful mums, we wouldn't be here doing this, and the players wouldn't be out here. So a big happy Mother's Day. Hopefully you've had a wonderful day and been spoilt respectively. And hopefully the girls spoil us with a show tonight with silverware on the line. Both teams just going through the last of their preps and conversations as the captains, Sophie Stapleford and Jana Fraser, have a conversation and go through the toss with the referees. We'll see what the outcome of that is. The orchestration of trying to figure out who has to shake whose hands first there, and it's always that fun awkward moment as, you know, you're crossing hands and no, you go first. And
yes, very, very awkward situation.
So that awkward moment on the footpath when you're walking towards someone and you don't know who's got to go which way, right? But we'll now have our assistant referees. They'll head down, they'll check the nets. We're getting set, only moments away from kickoff here at Lake Macquarie Regional Football Facility. We will apologise in advance if there's a bit of noise, because being Lake Macquarie Regional Football Facility, we have two games going on. Our Emerging Jets women's side are playing in the New South Wales NPL right behind us. So lots of football to celebrate a Sunday evening and wrap out Women's Football Week. Probably fitting, really, that we have two top-quality women's games right next to each other here at the Showpiece venue in northern New South Wales. Yeah, it's pretty good end to Female Football Week, and obviously, hopefully, the Jets girls across there, they get some points on the board as well. I'm sure we'll hear about it. Their coach will be one of the most animated people in the venue. We know Ryan Campbell, you'd know him well. Can be very animated. Speaking of here, let's have a look at how the two teams do line up. I'll run through the visitors, and then, well, it's the visitors. I'll run through Charlestown and then let you have Maitland to go through Tara. So in goals is number 16, Danielle Bartels. 2 is Kyra Dickey. 3, Chloe Martin. 5, Georgia Brown. 6, Alyssa Togo Paragilli. 9, Jana Fraser. 10, Melina Ayres. 11, Chloe Catley. 14, Maddie Gallegos. 17, Callista Hunter. 28, Chelsea Lucas, and they are coached by Heath White. And for Maitland FC, we've got in goals Annabella Thornton. Number 4, Keely Gawthorpe. 7, Lana Keeney. 8, Sophie Nanadovich. 11, Sophie Stapleford. 14, Renee Putney. 15, Will O'Neill. 17, Serena Carter. 18, Talia Gosner. 23, Georgia Amos. And 35, Mary Enswing. Tara gets an early touch. That's the good thing about the proximity here. Just trying to work out what's going on. A little bit of flat football. Referee says the second one's okay. And we get back underway, and it will be Brown with the throw. Turned over immediately. Georgia Amos feeds it back. Gosner now will go all the way back to Thornton. Turned over in the box, that's dangerous. Pop forward looking for Gallegos, and Thornton was stranded out of her goals, but it's off target and a little heavy. Opening exchanges, living up to exactly what we thought, Tara. A little slippery, a little scrappy. That's it, and we could see some goals early. I think, you know, saw the goalkeepers warming up as well. A few sort of, you know, slippery balls coming in, so if we get shots away, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people following up. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it is, especially in traffic too. You can see it skidding and slipping a little bit. It's going to be hard for the goalkeepers. They're going to have to be alert. Interesting to see Danielle Bartels has got the cap on as well. Not a lot of sun about, just shading the eyes from the lights maybe. And could be a little bit of a superstition as well. I think she's worn that hat a few times before, so maybe it's a good luck hat. Look, if it works, it works. I'm not here to judge anyone on their superstitions. It's all about the end results, I'm sure. At the end of the day, if you win games and keep clean sheets, I'm pretty sure that most teams are happy for their goalkeepers to do whatever they like. Mary Enswing cops a straight finger in the eye, was it? was very unassuming. So maybe a slap to the side of the head as the player, I'm not even sure who it was that turned away from her. And I'll get a free kick there for that, just shy of halfway. Talia Gosner will take it. Sophie Stapleford calling it long. They go wide. Georgia Amos is out there looking for it. It's headed away by Georgia Brown, and it'll be a throw in deep in attacking territory for Maitland. Their first entry into the attacking third. Just over 2 minutes gone here. Lake Macquarie Regional Football Facility. You're tuned in Northern New South Wales Football's YouTube, watching the League Cup final, Charlestown Azzurri and Maitland FC. Another throw in for the Magpies. It shows you how slippery the ball is. As Will O'Neill goes to take the throw in, she loses control of it. Amos now feeds it into the edge of the box. They push back, they go wide for Stapleford, but the flag goes up for offside. Azzurri have it wide here, and they just play it back into Bartels to take the long kick. She drives it wide, looking for Maddie Gallegos, finds her. Touch a little heavy. Neal gets a boot in, but doesn't find a teammate now. It's chipped forward, looking for the pace of Maddie Gallegos. She cuts inside, a beautiful run against Gosner, pushes it across the face, and then just cleared across the sideline. And you can see already that ball bouncing truly is going to be very dangerous. Maddie Gallegos, she's smart. She can read the bounce of the ball and was following that, getting that inside line.
Yeah, and I think anything can happen in those sort of situations when the ball's bouncing, sitting along. As a striker, you love that when it's unexpected and you're trying to get in behind the defence.
Gallegos just couldn't control that one, though. Goes across the sideline. We're talking off air. Maddie Gallegos and Melina Ayres, they're not just scoring goals in the NPL. They've been it was pretty widely publicised in the Herald. I think Renee Valentine wrote a piece on picking apart the AFL. Speaking of Melina Ayres, she gets to the top of the box. She manages to turn despite being off balance and keep possession. Does well again, beats another. Little side heel, almost found a target up front. Maitland scrambling in defence. Georgia Amos with work to do. She's going to clear it down the line. Trying to see Marianne swing. Togo Paragilli pops it back. Yeah, as I was saying, getting some bags of goals in the AFL as well, taking pretty well multi-sport athletes.
That's right, very athletic Melina is, and both Gallegos as well, so I can see they'd be kicking in goals then.
Speaking of Gallegos now with opportunity, Thornton comes out of her goals. Gallegos have a shot at an open net. Close, but no cigar. Nervous moments for Annabelle Thornton. That's twice she's shot out of her box to try and shut things down, and again, just that slippery bounce of the ball.
Yeah, exactly what we're expecting here today. That straight between her arms, and I think Gallegos was just a little bit too wide, and that's a pretty tough angle to try and score from.
It would have been some goal to open the scoring in the cup final from that angle, and here she is again. She's going to take a shot from range. Thornton much more composed and takes that one. Charlestown have come out of the blocks absolutely racing here. A couple of opportunities inside the first 5 minutes. That ball bounces over everyone, and swing now pushing back. Hunter shepherds it across the line. And it'll be a throw in to Azzurri.
Interesting to see Gallegos is on the left for this game. Obviously Molina's up top, but I'm sure they'll switch in and out as they need to.
We'll see Ayres pop that ball out in front. And they get it down the line. Trying to be shepherded across the line and seen over by Lana Kearney, and it is. Azzurri with a throw deep. Interesting to see Gallegos holding a lot of width here too. You can see all the Maitland defenders started to suck in and follow in there, and I think if they had sort of realised eyes up, she could have had a lot of space for that to pull the ball across to the left. So interesting to see whether they capitalise on that later, Charlestown. Now, that was a bit of a misdirected pass. Turns out okay though. Finds Fraser. Now they push wide and back. Togo Paragilli plays it down to that left position where Maddie Gallegos is. Two defenders converge on her. Georgia Brown gets the last touch and it goes across the sideline.
I think Maddie Gallegos will try and isolate, obviously, Will O'Neill on this left-hand side, and Melina Ayres just attracts defenders, so they can have a one-on-one out this left-hand side. Interesting
seeing there too. As soon as Gallegos did get on the ball, as we watch the clearance here, that as soon as Gallegos got that ball, Georgia Amos sort of closed in that space as well. So, again, you talk about drawing those numbers, considering she's in her first season as an attacking footballer, if you will. The fact that teams are starting to look at that, and there's only a limit to how many players you can double team. If you're trying to double team Melina Ayres and her, someone else is going to be free. As Maitland now go on the attack, looking for Sophie Stableford. She just hits. Only gets a glancing deflection as she runs through. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting challenge for how Heath White balances. How Joe Wright balances that. With those players working there, and that it ends up, does it end up freeing up a Jana Fraser or someone else at the front?
Yeah, we've got Chelsea Lucas on the right-hand side with a lot of speed as well. So, if they're focused on this middle and left-hand side, then that could open up.
Amos wide down the right, plays it back. Put into the box, but the flag goes up. Amos offside from the return pass from Gawthrop.
I think Joe Wright's obviously got to think about that problem on his side, but he's probably got the same problem, with his forwards. He's got Amos, he's got Nswang up top.
Stapleford as well, pushing through, yep.
That are all going to cause a lot of headaches for that back line.
They're both very strong offensive sides. Both got the ability to score plenty of goals. And that's the thing, if you can shut down one or two, there's still a third or a fourth, and that's why these are the top two sides in the NPL currently. It's headed across the sideline by Manadovic. Brown with the throw. Gallegos tries acrobatic back heeling and just gets a deflection off Neal. Brown now looking for Gallegos, heads it inbound. Cleared somewhat by the Magpies. Ayres thinks better of having an air swing at it. Slices it across, headed forward. Danger signs for Maitland. Again, Thornton came out. Just prodded across the line by Lana Kearney. Maitland just seemed a little bit lacking in communication maybe in that defensive spot there, and all of a sudden an opportunity here. Gallegos gets another touch on it. Somehow Thornton blocked it. And it might have been good fortune there. I'm not sure it was exactly as they intended to execute that defensive clearance, Maitland, but they got away with it.
Yeah, a little bit shaky, the back line for Maitland. I think they're just getting used to this surface, in the back four and the goalkeeper. And obviously, Gallegos there nearly got that touch, that final touch to put in the back of the net, but great save by Annabella Thornton.
It's interesting, Thornton a few times has just come racing off that line, and, I'm not sure whether that's a want to get, to the ball and shut things down herself, or whether it's a bit of a question on the defensive unit itself and, trying to step in. But it's almost got them caught out a couple of times. I think they're going to have to be very watchful. And at that point, I think, there might be some conversation at the nearest opportunity from Joe Wright that he tries to get out there in terms of that. Shot taken from range, and Thornton gets on it, does she? No, Ayres gets there, takes it from her hands and prods it home. Melina Ayres straight on the spot, gets another goal and continues on her fine scoring form in both the cup and league competitions.
And there you go. She's done it again in scoring for Melina Ayres. Pounced on that one. The goalkeepers dropped the ball. It was very close. It was probably, nearly a free kick, but obviously the ball came loose and Melina's right there pouncing on that, and very much a poacher's goal that I love.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's all about being in the right place, and you're someone who's very astute at doing that as well, and you got to put yourself in the places to take those opportunities, and we see Sophie Stapleford having a very animated conversation with the referee there. But it's in the book, and Charlestown Azzurri lead 1-0 after just over 10 minutes here at Lake Macquarie. Sophie Stapleford racing through, but the ball's going to outrace even the pace of Sophie Stapleford, and it will be a goal kick.
Yeah, no, Ayres is obviously a very smart player. She knows what the pitch is doing tonight. She knows it's slippery, so she's going to be following every single shot that goes in. She's going to be following up to do that exact same thing, maybe again later in this game.
It's not going to be an easy night to be either of these goalkeepers. Danielle Bartels hasn't had too many challenges yet, whereas Annabella Thornton's been very busy. Georgia Mess and Maddie Gallegos just coming shoulder to shoulder there. A little bit of niggle pushing back.
There's no really in between for a goalkeeper, is there? You're either the hero or the villain.
We were talking about that yesterday in the men's NPL as Sophie Stapleford tries to thread the ball from Mary Enswing Not only that, if you're a backup outfield player sitting on a bench, you get ready to get injected and involved, whereas it's basically a calamity if you're coming off the bench as a backup keeper. We saw yesterday the evergreen Ben Kennedy, a little bit of a calf complaint ended up coming off, unfortunately, early in that game. And, yeah, it certainly was the case then in the end where an awkward bouncing ball came off the head of Braden Crowley and meant it was not a great first grade cap to remember for Jack Pandell as they went down. But, yeah, who'd be a backup goalkeeper? You spend most of the season just sitting on the bench waiting for either your team to underperform or generally your mate, who's the other goalkeeper, to get injured.
Yeah, that's right.
As a little bit of rain starts to come again. Ball threaded through looking for Georgia Brown. I think it's going to be more than a little bit. Just what we need, something to make things a little bit slippery up. Apologies if you're getting some ruffling through the microphones. They're just doing a few raincoat adjustments out in the rain here. No luxury of a commentary box in on the Lake Macquarie facilities here, the synthetic pitches. Now pitch side as Charlestown ranging forward. And another goal. This time Lucas, is it? Gets a second, and in no time at all, Azzurri 2-0. What a strike from the edge of the 18-yard box. Leaves Annabella Thornton stranded in the rain.
And there we go, Chelsea Lucas using that pace to obviously get in behind, and great finish in the end. I think she just slipped it down the inside past Thornton.
What a finish too, just composed. Thornton probably in two minds with the slipperiness of the pitch, watching who else is advancing forward and what the opportunities are. And Chelsea Lucas said, don't worry about anyone else, I'm just going to bang this one straight past you. And less than 15 minutes gone, and Azzurri lead 2-0.
You can see Maitland out there having a bit of a chat and telling the girls to get a little bit higher and let's start pressing, because obviously Charlestown are really pressing on Maitland at the moment, and you know they've had those couple of chances and obviously put them away, and Maitland haven't spent a lot of time in their half.
You feel it's only a matter of time if Maitland can press and just turn some advantage. We know the level of team they can be. They're just not quite delivering at that point at the moment, and Charlestown have got them at 6s and 7s. That's a little bit better from the Magpies, and Georgia Amos, we know she's a live wire down the right, pushes it forward for Mary and swing, beats one. Togo Paragilli pushes it across, and that looked like it went across the byline. Assistant referee didn't signal anything, but the referee has said yes, it did.
This might be the little bit of a change that Maitland need, you know, get in the corner, see if they can get something on the end of it, and at least forcing a save from the goalkeeper.
Well, as I said, Danielle Bartels has had a relatively, well, as easy as the night in the rain gets over the first 15 minutes here.
She's probably not looking forward to this corner, I'd say. You know, in the air, be very slippery, so this could be a very good chance for Maitland.
Sits deep for Stapleford. Manny Gallegos winding back the clock to a defender day. He's just throwing a body into some collisions. And now Maitland will have a dangerous set piece. Especially with Sophie Stapleford over it. She's going to be a threat from this dead ball.
Yeah, look, I hope she does have a shot from this distance. I think she can definitely score one from here. And, you know, with this weather, as we've seen up the other end, goalkeeper might drop it. So I'm sure Maitland players will chase this one in.
Two players over the ball, Stapleford one of those.
Bit of an interesting wall that Charlestown have set up with a couple of gaps.
Just leaving a window for opportunity. Stapleford strikes it. Well taken. Bartels falling down to her left. Takes it cleanly. It's her first touch under threat of attack. Lena Ayres with a beautiful touch there, taking it away. Deflects it off the Maitland player and beats her over the sideline. But Charlestown Azzurri quickly turning up the tempo, looking to go on the attack here and chase a third. Heath White said that they had a point to prove after going down 3-0 earlier in the season to Maitland at Lyle Carr. And they come out of the blocks flying here on a wet Mother's Day. Gosner goes immediately along looking for Stapleford, but it's diffused. That's not a good sign. We're going to play it down for Maitland. Ball pushed forward, looking for Amos wide. Bartels is going to race out forward. It'll be interesting here. She gets there first by a step and just pushes it across the sideline.
You can see Maitland are just trying to wrestle back some momentum here. They've had a little bit more possession now in that half, a few more through balls.
Had a long throw to the edge of the box, but then swing as the rain picks up some momentum itself. Now back to Will O'Neill. Played into Nenadovich. Drills it into the boots of Gallegos, and it goes across for another throw. Tell you what, I really enjoy calling pitch side normally, but glasses and rain is not a winning combination, I have to say, Tara. Need some little windscreen wipers. And I'm fighting with my hood here, which is oversized and falling over my glasses, so real first world problems, right?
Definitely. I mean, where else would you rather be, you know, watching a football game, but when you're standing out in the rain, it's not quite as fun, is it?
Look, it's, again, very first world problem, and still, you know, one of the best places to be on a Sunday evening here, watching the best of our female talent in the northern New South Wales region, going head-to-head for some silverware. If that means I've got to brave a little bit of rain, well, I guess I'll have to suck it up.
That's right. I think we're very lucky that the game is actually on. Obviously, got synthetic, got this facility. Because anywhere else in Newcastle, I'm sure this game was potentially going to be cancelled.
We've seen a raft of postponements this last couple of weeks with all the wonderful rain that we've had, and it's been a wet start to the season as Nenadovich hits this into the box, and Gosnart tries to get a little nod on it. I'm not sure even if she got some contact on that it was going to get any closer to target the way she approached it. But again, good to see the attacking intent from the Magpies. They're certainly far from resigned to their fate at this point, down 2-0 after 18.5 minutes.
That is a very tough header. The glancing header across, you know, where you just want to get a little bit of a touch on it. They're always very hard. You know, a bit different when the ball's coming out and you can just go straight back at it. They're very hard to do.
I feel like an unintentional glancing header might be the order of business today with this weather and how slippery everything is. At which point, you know, if that leads to victory, you then tell everyone later on that, no, I completely meant to do that.
Of course.
Charlestown racing down the left now. Just prodded across the line by... Sorry, that was Charlestown prodding across the line. Maitland racing down the left, I should have said. Thrown in long, cleared away somewhat. Amos looks to prod it wide for Neil, but Neil in the end gets the clearance over the sideline. Gallegos looking to take the quick throw. Goes long for Ayres. Ayres up against Gosnart. Nenadovich defending as well. Fraser comes away with it. Pushes it to the right, looking for a teammate. It falls to Georgia Brown. She can't get a clean pass on it. Prodded forward by Dickey in the end. Ayres has a hack. Dangerous pressure here. Brown pushing up now against Amos. She pushes it centre field. Nenadovich just overcooks it a little bit. Captain Sophie Stover nice and positive there. Talking about that's a better way to play out. Now, trying to push forward with that challenge. Maitland trying to press, but they turn it over and quickly Charlestown go on the counter. Jana Fraser. Georgia Brown. Sloppy clearance, but it's going to go to open space, and Maitland will find the sideline, and Charlestown will come back for a throw.
It's always once the rain starts, it's, you know, the first couple of minutes, like, oh. And then, you know, your shirt gets drenched and you're just in it then, and you just, you know, you go and you're playing a game of football and you love it. Everyone's
in the same spot. It does tend to sort of fatigue a little bit quicker though, doesn't it? Just, you know, it sounds silly, but there's heavy socks, heavy boots, heavy kit. And you start to see some players, you know, there's a little bit more probably walking when the ball goes out of bounds, all those sorts of things. Starts to come into a bit of a war of attrition. The good thing is that we know the surface will hold up. It's not going to become too heavy underfoot for them or any of those sorts of challenges. But lots of mental games come into it at this point. And certainly Charlestown with the mental edge at the moment, leading 2-0. Scrappy challenges set across the line for another throw into the favour of the Magpies. Marianne swings, bouncing up forward, calling for the ball long. Throw didn't quite find her. Now they're going to try and work it through that. Melina Ayres forces them to turn back forward. Threaded forward, found end swing. She gets a little touch on it, but can't quite be controlled. And then Charlestown, sloppy passing, goes over the sideline.
And that does tend to happen in these sort of conditions. Obviously, your passing, your touches, you know, you might not have that touch that is good just because it just slips off the end of your boot. Georgia Amos feeds it down the line. Pountney tries to cross it in, deflected by Dickey and cleared somewhat. As the rain gets heavier again, really starting to pour down here at Lake Macquarie.
Very good, very good. Great football.
In swing, under pressure from a number of defenders, threads it deep for Amos, puts it into the box. Little deflected header, taking a shot. Is that Sophie Stableford getting one back for Maitland? It's hard to tell from this distance with the torrential rain, but I think it is the captain putting one in the back of the net, and all of a sudden it's 2-1. Maitland get one back. We've had 23 minutes of action and 3 goals, Sarah.
That's it, and I think there's that glancing header. I think Bartels came out to catch. Glancing header, obviously just sticked it over, and then Stableford just absolutely slammed that one home with the left foot.
Again, it's just about being in the right spot at the right time. Those deflections, those slips, they're going to happen. Melina Ayres, a bit of a false start here. We're going to come back. I think a couple of the Azzurri players have started wandering off downfield before we got underway. The referee's just going to bring it back and we'll go again.
Hey, go, great football. Very good.
And Dickey threads it now. Fraser. Gallegos making a run here wide. Good strong contact from Nenadavic. Players are going toe-to-toe here. The referee gets involved and says that's a foul and wants to come for opportunity here for Charlestown. Straight away they loft it forward. Fraser deflects it for Melina Ayres. Pops back now, Lucas. Tries to thread it through the pack. Both sides not clean in their passing. End swing gets a clip. I was going to say that's probably going to see the referee go to a pocket.
And that's the sort of thing that end swing can do. She's lethal up front and obviously gets that little touch, and she's got very good feet. She can very nifty with the ball and gets that little touch to get around Togo Paragelli.
Yeah, it's a hard one to do too. Your natural reaction just to reach out, and she gets that little tap on and the ball's gone and you clip her and you go into the book, and now you have to be so cautious again. Slippery, hard to maintain footing as well. Challenges can go awry a lot easier in these conditions, so you just got to be thinking that extra bit, which can put the pressure on when it comes to, you know, the moments that matter. Maitland with a long-range opportunity here, and Nenadavic will put it deep for Marianne. Swang manages to play it into the body of an Azzurri player, and we'll have another corner. Again, these set pieces so dangerous. Lots of traffic, pinballing soccer ball around in the box.
Yeah, and Maitland have got a little bit more success now. They're getting up, they're, you know, getting a few of these opportunities. The momentum swung a little bit. I think we're going to have a really good game on our hands at 2-1. Obviously 3 goals really early on.
It's funny how these ones play out. You can have a high-scoring passage and then it turns into a war of attrition. At the moment, there's plenty of goals. That one's headed away for the time being. End swing will chase back. She'll get this on the return. Crosses it into the box. Headed away partially and falls for Ayres. She's got time and space. Defence is pushing on her now. And she sends it wide. Nice deflection. Friendly bounce again for Ayres. She slices it out to the left for Gallegos. Georgia Brown looking to overload, but Gallegos is just going to go herself and turn. Crosses it in to the back post. And another goal. Chelsea Lucas gets a second. Charlestown Azzurri get a quick response, and all of a sudden it's 3-1 now. Charlestown Azzurri lead Maitland in the Northern New South Wales Women's League Cup final.
I think Melina Ayres got that. Well,
was it Melina Ayres, was it?
Melina Ayres got that right.
It's very hard to tell. As I said, I need some windscreen wipers on the goggles. Melina Ayres it is with a second. Apologies. Chelsea Lucas might have to wait for another opportunity to get her second. Melina Ayres gets her second. I was right about someone getting a second.
You were. And that's the counter-attack from Charlestown. You've got, you know, two lethal plays up front. Gallegos, you know, left foot cross, Ayres following in and obviously getting that finish.
And again, not even 30 minutes on the clock. 4 goals on the scoreboard. And the way it's gone so far, you still wouldn't rule out Maitland taking this out in regulation time or even managing to get back on level pegging by half-time as the flag goes up against Georgia AMS.
Keep the ball. Good. Under Emma.
Bartels goes long with the clearance.
Hey, girls, brilliant. Alexis, excellent. Well done.
Challenge on the far side now. Throw in. Going to Azzurri. Opportunity coming, but no, it will come out for a goal kick. All sorts of equipment struggles here. Tara's umbrella looks like it's running waterfalls on it. My glasses have got water inside and out. It's entertaining, almost as entertaining watching me try and figure out what's going on here as it is to get into the game. But Talia Gosner breaks up that attacking raid. Nice ball out in front. Stableford sniffing about for a second. Enswing and Amos racing up. Enswing in the box. Can she get the turn? Chips it across looking for Amos. Gets it out for Gawthrop. This is more promising from Maitland. Amos now double team. Gallegos pushing up on her. Plays it into the feet. Gallegos takes it away. Amos continues on and then Gallegos pushes it across the sideline trying to get a deflection off Georgia Amos, but not to be outfoxed. Maitland get the throw in deep in attacking territory. 16 minutes on the clock before we head to the break. Been an enthralling first almost half hour of football. League Cup final on New South Wales Football's YouTube. Poked out again, I should say, by Charlestown. Charlestown very composed in their defence. I think Maitland had some struggles earlier. They were a little rattled by the offensive pressure from Charlestown. Charlestown on the other end looking a lot calmer.
Definitely, and I think we've got some enforcers on the Charlestown defensive line. You know, Calista Hunter and Togo Paragelli that just come through and they're putting a lot of pressure on Enswing up the top and just not letting anything through.
Will be a corner. Speaking of Enswing, she will take it. Serena Carter, Talia Gosner, the two presences of height in the box for Maitland, but they go short. Stableford plays it back to Enswing, who's run herself onside. Takes on Georgia Brown, beats her, but can't beat the second and third Azzurri players. In the end, Togo Paragilli gets it away now. It falls for Brown. Push wide for Gallegos. She goes long down the line, just in a clearing kick. Will O'Neill tracking back. Melina Ayres pushing on her. And Will O'Neill plays it smart and deflects it out off the boot of Melina Ayres to get a throw in for Maitland.
The two corners that Maitland have had, they've gone short. They've done a bit of an alteration, which, look, I don't mind changing it up, but, you know, in this type of weather, just try and get it in the box. Someone's going to drop it or, you know, get a little head on it.
Yeah, you think those slips and deflections are where the money's at the moment. We've seen 3 of the 4 goals come from that, so Enswing wins that one out. Togo Paragilli. Tara's given up on the umbrella. And Kyra Dickey plays it forward.
Thought I was getting in your way a little bit too much. Might help you see down the far end.
Oh, that's all right. The rain's more of a challenge than your umbrella was, but that's okay. I appreciate it. The ball goes out for another throw for Azzurri. The ball's gone onto the other field here. Turn from commentary to ball retrieval now. All the things we need to do to keep the game moving. We got there in the end. Georgia Brown now with a throw. Problem for me was that netting was too confusing. I didn't realise it was actually tacked down. I was trying to fight with it. Now Brown and Amos. Brown comes away, probably not in how she's intending, but it just spits out to the defensive side, and Talia Gosner will be watchful across the byline, and we'll come back for a goal kick. If anyone knows any anti-rain dances and wants to come down to Spears Point and carry those out any time now, would be wonderful. We've had plenty of rain. It's nice and slippery. Certainly making an interesting contest here. That alongside the plethora of skill that we've seen on display. And Jana Fraser, nice little nutmeg through, looking for Ayres. Georgia Amos does well. Oh, that was a little bit of a moment of confusion, I thought. Serena Carter just thought she was going to clear that, and then she pulled out the last second and dropped back for Annabella Thornton. Now Maitland going on the counter. Marion Swing threads it forward. It's pushed wide, off target for Maitland. Those midfield transitions a struggle for both sides at this point. This is what I was talking about, Tara. Just no one in a real rush to get things rolling again. They're just happy just to take their time, sort of try and get as set as they can.
Yeah, I think Charlestown at this point, you know, up 3-1. They're not going to hurry anything.
It's a long way to go in this game, though, as it falls into the box. Poked away in the end by Will O'Neill. And look, on a normal day, I'd say that was an ineffective clearance by Will O'Neill. But I think at this point, if the ball's anywhere near your 6-yard box, just get it out in any direction you can.
That is right. Throw your leg out, swing at it, and let's just hope it doesn't go towards the goal.
Just do it like my golf game. Hit it hard and as far as you can in any direction. As you said, maybe not towards the goals, but, you know. It's crossed, corner comes into the front post there, cleared away with a header by Maitland. Not completely dealt with though. Fraser tracking back. Does well to get outside a defender and then is barreled over as the ball is pushed across the sideline. Throw comes in. Into the box. No Azzurri players there, and Safi Nanatovic takes the time, turns it back for Carter. He's happy to work it through the defensive unit, and Charlestown start to push up with the press. Talia Gosner sends it long. Well taken away now. What can they conjure here? Maitland. Nothing immediately presenting. Georgia Amos making a nice wide run here. Got a couple of teammates in the box if she can find them. Will O'Neill behind her, and she's got Maddie Gallegos coming and dispossessing her. And Maddie Gallegos earns a throw in for her side. Two characters that won't take a backward step.
That's right. I think Amos would have been disappointed with losing that ball then, and obviously tried to win it back, and just caught her as she was trying to get that one.
George is still trying to just debate the point as to who it touched last, I think. I had the joys on Anzac Day of Georgia Amos sitting behind me while I was commentating the men's game, giving me feedback on my commentary, which was entertaining. Might be a future in her joining us here based on her feedback on mine. In the meantime, Charlestown now working it around. Togo Paragilli. Brown plays it towards Ayres. Both teams very willing coming into contact. Nanatovic just overcooks it a little on Ayres and gives away a free.
You never want to give Ayres that much space. She had two players on her and still got away, but you never want to give that space. She would have driven forward and potentially had a shot or played, obviously, a through ball for one of her teammates.
Danielle Bartels decided she hasn't been involved in that. She's going to come and take this free kick that's over halfway. That's an interesting choice. Jordan Amos has it back to goal. George is the sort of player I would have expected if she had a shot. If she had a chance from 70 with no goalkeeper at home, might have tried to have a crack. Gallegos tries to keep it in bounds. Nanatovic just shepherds it across the line, goes long with the throw. That's a nicely placed throw. Pountney couldn't quite get on it. Enswing wore that on the chin, it looked like. He's taking a couple of knocks to the head early here. Georgia Amos, Safi Nanatovic throws a body in. It's always interesting in the wet too, the players, you know, going and throwing your body into that contact. Sometimes it can just make the other players a little gun shy. It stings a little bit more the colder and wetter it gets.
Yeah, that one nearly hurt me too. Ugh.
Yeah, look, I'm glad I'm not out there. I'd be coming off second best against at least 21 of the 22. I reckon all of them, actually. That's including the likes of Georgia Brown, who I'm probably, taking about a 60-kilo advantage on. All of a sudden now, Azzurri go on the attack. What can they conjure here? Broken up the first cross. Not completely dealt with, though. Popped into the box and now fired away. Staplefoot on the ball. Prods it back. Carter now, Nenadovich and Gosner. Neal, Amos calling for it down the line. Georgia Brown reads that very well, picks it off. Talia Gosner does equally well on the other side. Nenadovich now is going to play it to Amos, and some good work there. Pountney now turns and cuts infield in a foot race with Dickey. Lays it out in front. Kenny can't quite find the target, but Staplefoot comes and pinches it away, then plays it into the legs of the opponent. Kenny and Staplefoot work as a duo and take it away again. Pountney. This is better from Maitland, but they need it to lead to something. Inside the last 7 and a bit minutes here at Lake Macquarie of the first half, the League Cup final for the women's competition, Northern New South Wales NPL Cup competition, the second piece of silverware on the line for the year. Azzurri already have one, and they've got half a hand on a second. They force the turnover here, and they start to go on the attack. Fraser under pressure. And they go long ranging down the line and unthreateningly.
Yeah, that little passage from Maitland was probably back to what they usually do. Obviously playing out from the back, trying to play through Charlestown to get it forward. It's a very different style of play to Charlestown, where they sort of try and get it up the front to their threatening plays, more of a counter-attack or a long ball sort of game. So if Maitland can get back to that, start playing through, they might have a little bit more success.
Yeah, certainly the games I've called them this year, they've really built that possession and control, and even their men's side plays very similar. They're just happy to, and I think we used the word yesterday, it's almost hypnotic. They'll just play it back and forward and hold the possession until you crack, until you make that mistake. And I think the fact that Charlestown came out of blocks as Sophie Staplefoot goes racing away, we'll come back to that in a moment. But Georgia Amos at the back post, if she can find her, she cannot. And they'll go across the sideline. That I guess, composure and patience was pulled apart because Charlestown just came out of blocks, bang, bang, got a couple of goals. And at the end of the day, as the ball's cleared out of the box there by Charlestown, Mary Enswing takes it away for the time being. It's one of those pieces, as much as yes, you've got to have a plan A and a plan B, and we talked about that the other week when we were calling Broadmeadow, it's very much around a piece that you need to be, know what works for you, and that's what's worked for Maitland. It's what got them undefeated at the top of the ladder. It's what's got them to the final. Despite going behind 2-0, they've got the ability, we've seen that, of scoring 3, 4, 5 goals in a game. So maybe just, Joe Wright would be loving them just to be falling back to that, and that's a good segment of play to be starting to build that positively.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, for Charlestown, they've got Gallegos, Ayres and Lucas up front, who...
An opportunity here that Thornton found at the front post.
Who, as a defender, if you've got them pressing you, for the first 15 minutes, you're probably not going to play out and you're probably going to go long. So the game's settled down enough now that Maitland can start to play out and play through.
Nice ball from Enswing to Amos. A little tap around, using her pace, puts it into the box. Finds Stableford, who beats a diving keeper in Bartels, and they're back within one late in the half.
There we go, unfavoured foot, right foot for Sophie Stableford there, and back to 3-2. 5 goals in the first half, at least. And the rain's eased, touch wood. That was beautiful work. Mary Enswing set that up. The nice little touch here right in front of us. Georgia Amos did what she did, just absolutely barreled away down the wing, then used her pace to cut inside Callista Hunter. Georgia knows that her pace and agility is her strength. Played to it and then perfectly placed the ball in front of Sophie Stableford. Bartels did absolutely everything you could ask of her, but it was perfectly put into that bottom corner. That's right. It didn't have a lot of power on it, but it was just the placement.
Well done, and we've got a game well and truly on our hands. 3 goals to 2 in the last few minutes here of the first half. And I'm not riding off just yet, Tara. There being another twist in this tale before we get to the break. It's been a phenomenal game. We knew that the game would be fast and there'd be lots of attack. And here it goes again. Gallegos gets to the outside of Will O'Neill. Will O'Neill does well. And gets the last touch. And we'll have a corner here, a set piece for Charlestown. Now let's see. We talked about Maitland. They've gone short a couple of times. for you, Tara, I'm wondering if it's just because you're a tall striker, you just want to see the corners come into the box, and, you know, especially on days like this, it's fall to feet and have a crack. Well, let's see what Charlestown do. They've got a couple of key threats there, and most notably, you've got a striker who can finish like Gallegos, who's also got height on her side as well.
That's right. I think if they're trying to aim for, you know, right sort of the penalty spot and between the 6 yard.
And that's roughly where they go. Just no curl back on it, and it ends up spilling outside the 18-yard box. Sophie Stapleford comes racing from nowhere to try and shut down some passing lanes. Hunter plays it back. Brown deputising back in the middle off the set piece. Push forward. Stapleford's going to get on her bike and chase after this one. Dickey. Broken up by Amos, but it falls nicely for Maddie Gallegos, who tries to thread it to Melina Ayres, and Annabella Thornton racing off a line and clears this well downfield. That was really well judged by her. She got out and nipped it from the feet of an advancing Melina Ayres. And that's Annabella Thornton to a tee. She does like to come out, but she just got caught those couple of early times, so that'll give her some good confidence.
Yeah, and she's a young goalkeeper, so still learning, you know, when to come and when to not come is really important, and that was perfect timing.
Georgia Brown now with the throw on halfway. Looking for Gallegos. Will O'Neill looked like she wore that full in the face there as it missed Maddie Gallegos' head. That's Marianne swing. That's artistic and acrobatic, and I'm not sure quite where she wanted it, but it turned out all right because it fell to the advantage of Keely Gawthrop. Now she goes wide. Stapleford under constant pressure. No play back. Carter goes to the left again now. Kearney plays it into a defender, and Charlestown try and thread it forward. It pinballs between a couple of players, and Serena Carter watches it go across the sideline. Just over 60 seconds of regulation time. I'll wait to see what the fourth official indicates for us in terms of added time. With 5 goals, wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit. And many other stoppages. All played forward. Amos can't quite control it.
It is frustrating in the rain, as we just heard, you know. That little bit of a skim on the ball, a bit of a bad bounce, and you just can't get control of it.
Well, tonight would be a great night to have a couple of players just live mic'd. It could be quite entertaining. Georgia Amos would be a very entertaining player to have mic'd up.
She would be, definitely.
Georgia Brown sends it down, and it's just... It's like a game of Forsey backs at the moment. And Ardovic hacks it forward. She ends up with it again on halfway. Now she decides to go on a little bit of a run. Jana Fraser closes in on her. Prods it there into no man's land, and turns out okay. Mary Inswing comes away, turns from Togo Paragilli. She's got about 6 blue jumpers around her and somehow finds a teammate. But Pountney can't do the same. I think that was 1 minute of added time from the fourth official, so we won't have long left here at all. Maitland are just trying to watch this one back, and that's probably going to be a foul, I would have thought. That's a little over-enthusiastic, and we've got a reaction now. Temper's just starting to fray in the wet.
That was a very heavy challenge there in the back of Nenadovich.
Look, Sophie Nenadovich is someone who I would suggest is a short price when something like that happens to potentially react, and exactly how she did there.
She's a very strong player herself, so I'm sure she's put some of those big hits and big challenges on some of these other players as well. We have had a few of those tonight.
As I said, both teams are more than willing to get themselves involved in some of the physical stuff, which look, I'm sure the audience enjoys. I'm not sure that your opponents necessarily always enjoy, but just having a conversation here with the players, are we? We have some cards come out there. Yeah. Sophie's going to get Sophie Nenadovic's going to get a card.
Holly, get in! Holly!
I'm not quite sure who the Charlestown player was that was carded. Was it?
I think it was Chelsea Lucas.
I was going to say, was it
right-hand side.
Chelsea Lucas there? Two very physical presences, both of those two coming together. It can't be long left before we go to the break here at Lake Macquarie, and it's been an enthralling first half in the cup final. You wouldn't want to be turning away during the half-time break, that is for sure. The second 45 promises just as much excitement and enthralling action as Charlestown loft this one forward. Nenadovich gets ahead to it. Enswing, pocket rocket full of energy that she is, gets forward, gets it to her feet again. And a foul is called. Alina Ayres needs to be careful there. Last thing that anyone wants is to go into the book for anything else, but the referee's going to say that will do us for the half. And Maitland, they've got their noses, Charlestown have got their noses in front, and in games like this, sometimes that's all you need, but we know there could be plenty of goals in this second half if the script follows from the first. Charlestown leading 3-2 at the break, Tara. Regional football facility. The second half of the Northern New South Wales NPL League Cup is upon us. Teams making their way back onto the surface here on the synthetic at Lake Macquarie. And it's 3-2 at the break. Chris McPherson and Tara Andrews bringing you all of the action. Charlestown Azzurri leading by a single goal. Early in that game, Tara, it looked like the floodgates, well, pardon the pun after what the rain did, we'll get to that in a moment, but the floodgates could have opened because Charlestown came out of the blocks flying and got a 2-goal lead very early.
Yeah, that's right, mate. Charlestown did come out very hard. They're obviously pressing up the top, and Maitland didn't have a lot in the first 10 minutes. And going 2 goals down, they sort of had a little bit of a chat between each other, and obviously the momentum then shifted, and Sophie Stapleford got that first one for them back in the game. Charlestown got another one again, and then obviously Stapleford banged that last one in the back of the net to make it 3-2. So very exciting stuff. And I think we're going to see more goals in the second half for sure.
Well, I'm reluctant to predict that because every time I do that, I think it was actually here the other week, was it with you maybe, and then we had a game where there was a lot of goals in the first half, and we're like, oh, there's more goals to come here, and then absolutely nothing happened in the second half. So I'm just going to say there's going to be some twists in the tail. I'm going to be very vague. I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to get splinters in my backside and do all those things. But obviously the rain was another talking point. It absolutely came down torrentially for a good 20-25 minutes of that half as well, which kind of coincided when the game came back into the balance. It's an interesting phenomenon, especially, normally rain comes down, you start getting, especially that much rain, you start getting pooling and things. The wonder of the synthetic is, now there's just a little bit of surface slipperiness, which is exactly what we had at the start. We're almost back to square one. If you are Joe Wright, what was the conversation in those sheds at halftime, knowing that you do face a deficit despite the fact that some of the momentum swung back?
Yeah, look, I think they have to keep trying to build up and play their possession-based football. They obviously scored that second goal, I think, from playing out with the back, a few 1-2s, combinations, playing through the Charlestown team, and obviously then they got a goal. So I think it'll be about just trying to get control back. They've got a few threats for Charlestown that they need to try and take care of, but getting that control back, trying to play through the lines and see if they can do a similar thing to that second goal.
And then if you're Heath White on the other side, obviously you wouldn't want your team resting on their laurels. 1 goal, as we've seen here, is very little in the scheme of things.
Yeah, and the game can turn very quickly. Obviously, we saw Maitland score those couple of goals maybe against a run of play, so I think Charlestown are going to trying to get another one on the board at least.
Well, watch with bated breath what comes of it from here. 45 minutes remaining to potentially determine who takes the League Cup. Will it be Charlestown adding a second piece of silverware for the season, or will it be Maitland going back-to-back in the League Cup? They were the 2024 winners. We'll know much more in just under 45 minutes. And Carter feeding it down, and air swing from Stapleford. End swing does well to push it out for Carney, but she can't quite get there. She reached out with the left and then tried to prod with the right, and it beat her both times with the bounce. Nenadovich comes in, again, just before half-time. Some yellow cards dished out with a few tempers fraying in the wet as well. And we had, again, very thankful, we got some clarification from the referee. It was Lucas and Nenadovich that went into the book. So there's a few players in the book already that are going to have to mind their behaviour in this second half, Tara.
Yeah, and 2 very competitive teams with some really good players that just want to win. So, you're going hard, you're trying to win, and when someone hits you in the back, you sort of want to get them back a little bit. But we've seen some heavy challenges, and I think that's what we'll continue to see in the second half.
It's great to see. Sometimes people question some of these additional competitions and cups and things, and you know, we've got a League Cup, we've got a State Cup, we've got the NPL as well, and whether they mean as much to the players. And I think the attitude that these two teams have taken to this have certainly shown what it means. And the League Cup's a wonderful one because it means the lower grades play in it as well. As we saw earlier, the reserve grade was taken out by Adamstown in a penalty shootout, which, you know, the way things are shaping, you wouldn't rule that out. We saw it in the Charity Shield as well, so Charlestown are pretty familiar with the process.
Yeah, that's right. And obviously, you know, Maitland and Charlestown being the top two teams in the NPL, they want to beat each other every time they play. So we've seen a really competitive game, and some of these celebrations, I think they won the grand final.
Well, certainly you'd think these two teams will be in the mix when we get to that point in a few months' time. Speaking of tempers, a couple of push and shove there, Georgia Brown and Georgia Amos. Notice a few of the players that didn't have long sleeves on in the first half have gone and put the underlayer on in this second half. Just a bit of warmth and probably some dry shirt against the skin's not too bad either.
Yeah, that's right. It's always tough coming out in the second half after it's rained in the first half. If you don't have a second shirt, you're wet and you're cold, and it takes a little bit to warm up again.
I think it's also a challenge in any of the sports too when you come out with a wet shirt and the rain's stopped. If the rain's still going, well, you're just going to get wet really quickly again, whereas if the rain stopped, it kind of feels a bit awkward. You've got that heavy wet shirt sticking to you. You feel like it sort of restricts you a little bit.
Yeah, your boots are wet, your socks are wet, you know, you're trying to run and you feel a little bit heavier.
Yeah, I think the budgets these teams have, I don't know too many of the girls have got full fresh kits of boots, socks. Be nice if you're one of the few people that did. Some fresh boots would have been nice coming back out at half time. As we see this one driven down the line, a little optimistically, looking for end swing, but it's broken up and then pushed over the line. Last touch off Lucas, so Keeney will have the throw. Gawthrop feeds it back. Gosner goes long and wide, looking for Amos. Traps it well with the chest. Falls back for Pountney. She feeds it down the line for Will O'Neill. Azzurri take it away. And it's going to go away off a Maitland player last, and it will be a goal kick. No, we're going to have a foul call, I think. A little dark down in that bottom corner. Just a nice healthy crowd in despite the weather and it being a Sunday night, Tara. Again, it can be a bit of a challenge getting yourself into the prime position to watch here, but the hill behind us, or in front of us I should say, nice and full, especially down the southern end there.
Yeah, I think lots of those mums and female supporters that walked on with the players at the start of the game hopefully have hung around and you know, stuck out this rain to watch a really good match.
Well, it's certainly been well worth it for those that have hung around and those of you who are tuned in. Sophie Stapleford wins out in this challenge. Complains of a foul, and then we're going to come back for it. Referee nods in agreement and blows a whistle. Nenardovic to come back and take it. Just some little hand signals and gestures as she gets set, takes it, lofts it into the box, dangerously, sits up nicely though for Bartels, despite three Maitland players rushing forward to put on the pressure. There's a big collision. Gallegos comes off best. Is that Will O'Neill that's come off second best? She's just been a little bit of incidental contact. I don't know whether knee on knee and maybe a bit of shoulder to either her shoulder or head as well. It was fairly strong contact. Gallegos spun out of it though.
It's always a tough challenge when the ball's bouncing like that and two players are obviously running in. There's always going to be one that potentially comes out second best like we just saw.
Hopefully nothing too serious, but she's still down on her haunches. Maitland physio out to have a look at her. We get a bit of action behind us on the other pitch, and unfortunately it's not in favour of the Jets. Well, we have this stoppage. Hopefully it's just precautionary with Willow. Starting to see her sitting up a little more, and now she's up to her feet, which is great to see. Sophie Stapleford just issuing some reassuring words. Maddie Gallegos with a nice friendly pat on the back. There was no malice in the challenge, which is nice to see. Again, Will O'Neill probably giving away a little bit of size and height to Maddie Gallegos, and maybe that's those AFL skills coming in, just bouncing and spinning out of the contact.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's always going to be tough going up in a challenge with Gallegos, with her strength and speed.
I'm sure you've come into a couple of those.
I have, yeah, when she's been a central defender right behind me and I've come to get the ball, and I definitely know she's there, that's for sure.
Yep, there's quite a lean build, but yeah, I've seen her hit a couple of the contests both today and in a couple of other games. She's certainly willing when she comes in.
Yeah, she wants to win that ball, and if a striker or one of these defenders got it.
Ball clears the pack here, and Martell's just signalling for a bit of calm from her team. Certainly some physical presences. I'm sure for a few of the strikers, they're probably happy to see Maddie Gallegos at the other end. And then we talked about it here the other week when Charlestown played Adamstown at the opposite end, and we saw her in the last game in the reserve grade final. Tanya Jones has switched the other way, and now she's, being that nuisance instead.
Yeah, that's right. And I think for Charlestown, Gallegos has gone up the top, but they've still got Calista Hunter at the back, who's a very strong central defender.
Well, push down the line. There's some really good quality defenders in this league. I mean, there's good quality players all across the league, as we know, and I think that probably talks to it, as you say, the fact that Heath White has elected to reset and redeploy Maddie Gallegos up front talks to the depth of defence that Charlestown have. As we see Renee Pountney trying to put her body. Maddie Gallegos takes a strike from long range. Probably optimistic, but it wasn't far away in the end.
Ali! Alexis! No. Marnie, go closer.
Both teams happy to chance their hand
Alexis,
from range at the moment.
Marnie, chow it. No.
9 minutes gone in the second half here. Charlestown Azzurri leading 3-2 over Maitland FC. The League Cup final. The NPLW for Northern New South Wales, as bodies just clattering together. And that one straight away, Kyra Dickey knew that she overcooked that one and dropped her head, and gets her name in the book.
That's a smart play from Enswing. She just sort of baited Dickey to try and win the ball, and then took that touch around her, and obviously she caught her in the end.
Jules and Izzy! Jules! Too casual!
She's a smart footballer, Mary Enswing. She knows how to draw those players in. We've seen it a couple of times this season already, where she can just lure that foul, and again, we talked about it before, you put someone on a yellow card, there might be that bit of hesitation later in the fixture. Again, we talked about it before, it's been an enthralling fixture so far, as we've got Sophie Nenadovich over the ball here. Drives it low along the ground, cleared out in the end by Hunter. Headed backwards by Kearney. Will O'Neill back and into full stride, which is a positive to see. Now we're going to go back down here. We've got a Maitland player down. Is that Sophie Stapleford? Must have slipped over on that free kick, and maybe she's just got some contact on the way through. Maitland in a little bit of the walls at the moment.
That's right. I think that's their third set piece. They've gone short or tried something different. So it's an interesting tactic. Probably not one that I would try on a night like tonight. But they might get something out of it today.
I'm going to say, if they get that equaliser or a winner out of it, they'll be able to say, I told you so, Tara Andrews.
Right,
but if they don't, well, you can have the bragging rights, says the resident tactician.
I think as a tall striker, I just want the ball, in the box, somewhere close to the goal where I can try
at my head,
and
at my feet, either. I'll do what I need to from in and around the 6-yard box. That might be one of those pieces, though, too, knowing that height is not an area of strength up front for Maitland when you have a look at it. George Ramos, Mary Enswing, even Sophie Stapleford, is probably the tallest of their timber there, is not tall in comparison to their opponents or the league in general, as we see Lucas striding down the right wing. A little bit of fancy footwork around the box. Threads it in, looking for Ayres. A little feint. And then Gallegos slides in but misses the ball, and Thornton will pick it up in the end. Another good opportunity and chance for Charlestown there. And of course, tuned into Northern New South Wales Football's YouTube channel. It is your home of all NPL men's and women's first and reserve grade throughout the season, as well as League Cups and a little bit more. And Enswing gets a little bit more contact. This time it's Togo Paragili, and she's staying down. She's lost a boot. She's in a bit of pain and discomfort. It looked quite innocuous.
Yeah, it did. I think looks like she's in a fair bit of pain. Obviously took the boot off, so could have potentially, got the Achilles or the back of the heel there. But using her skill to try and turn the defender, obviously got away, and Togo Paragili just clipped her there.
So it looked much more innocuous than the one from Dickey before. It was a real clattering challenge. Unless it probably wouldn't have even knocked her off a stride, but as you say, the boot coming off, just depending how she's landed. We'll wait and see. The Maitland physio out there at the moment. Certainly been busy in the last few minutes. A concern from both sides.
Be interesting to see if we get any substitutions in the next, few minutes. We're obviously 15 minutes in to the second half. I'd be interested to see if Gemma Simon's going to come on and try and change things and maybe get another goal for Charlestown.
Well done. Hey, you can't say that, Brett.
Every time we take a stoppage, there's action on the other field. On Ryan Campbell getting very animated over there. I think the Jets girls might have got one back, Tara. So in the meantime, Mary Enswing sitting up under the watchful eye of Amy Walton, the physio for Maitland. But no real movement here. As we said, it's a wonderful way to seal out Female Football Week with this League Cup final, and the girls have absolutely lived up to the hype so far. Still just over 30 minutes remaining. Mary Enswing back to her feet, a little ginger, just taking her time with the boot back on and back into... She jogs off, which is a good sign. Glad to see. I don't want to see anyone coming off injured, and there is that added risk. They've got a high strike rate of knee and ankle injuries on these synthetic pitches, unfortunately. The women's game already has a very high strike rate of knee injuries. It's all happening.
Yeah, and as you say, I think a really good end to Female Football Week. What an exhibition, for female football today. And, the young girls, you can't be what you can't see. So if they coming out tonight to watch this game or, watching online, really good exhibition match.
Certainly is, and if you are enjoying this, make sure to stay tuned throughout the season for much, much more than women's first and reserve grades live and free all season on Northern New South Wales YouTube. And as well as that, if you're in the regional areas, we've got the Regional Super League happening as well, which kicked off on the weekend. So we've got teams from areas like Tamworth, Armidale, Port Macquarie, Urunga, Coffs Harbour all competing in that. Northern New South Wales really continuing to grow the top tier of football across its region, which is great to see. And again, all of it live and free on Northern New South Wales YouTube. No paywalls, no subscriptions. And catch football all throughout the season, which is great to see. Maitland now working it through their defensive unit. Head inside the final 30 minutes. Carter and Gosner combined. Melina Ayres working overtime to press defensively. Georgia Amos dispossessed by Georgia Brown. Then it goes back. Gosner retreating, and she'll just pass it defensively back to her keeper. Melina Ayres, as I said, working overtime, pushing up on that press constantly tonight.
Yeah, and you can see Maitland have a little bit more control in the back line there. They're trying to make Melina work, trying to make her chase the ball and then start to bring the ball forward.
Now Charlestown, they get the chance to turn things around. Chloe Martin down the line, a little heavy. Lucas isn't going to chase with any real intent. Lana Kearney back there. She's got Stapleford down the line, and that's where she goes. Plays it down the line herself, but doesn't find a teammate. Picked off by Hunter, under pressure from Enswing. Few drops of rain come again.
Well, we might have had all the rain that we could have gotten.
There's just a few drops. You're jumping the gun. You're going the hood straight back on. It's coming in. It's coming in from the other direction now, though, which is concerning, because I hope that doesn't mean we're getting the same shower coming back again. But the umbrellas go up on the hill. Headed on from Gawthrop. And broken up Fraser. Gawthrop takes it away again. Gosner sends it deep and wide. A little too wide in the end, and it'll push away and go for a throw into the advantage of the Azzurri. Now lofted back forward and swing. Back into full stride. Gets a boot to it but can't control it. Deflected pass falls for Dickey. She threads it through the middle and Fraser comes away with a fancy little deflection coming her way. She takes a shot from almost 30 out and doesn't even threaten, skims away to the edge of the 6-yard box.
Yeah, a little bit off balance there when she took that shot. Not a bad option. She was a little bit far out, but yeah, just a little bit off balance to, you know, skim that one wide.
Thornton's going to go long here. She sends her team forward.
Defend the middle.
Drives it towards halfway where a little challenge between Catley and Gawthrop, but now it's popped forward by Dickey, sitting out in front looking for Lucas. Carter calmly pushes it across the sideline, gets the clearance in. Now Martin with the throw deep in attacking territory for the team in blue. Throw it into the box, it sits nicely for Ayres, does well to control it, takes a shot on the volley, but Thornton read that well and took it skimming up on the bounce. Nervy moments of the clearance there. Gallegos nearly took it away from Neal. Enswing gets a nudge from behind. Play on, says the referee. Togo Paragilli advancing forward, lays it off for Dickey. Taken away, Amos tracking back. Neal goes long down the line, finds Enswing who deflects it infield. Nice little touch and good passing movement from Maitland. Amos now the top of the 18-yard box, tries to thread it in for Enswing, gets a friendly deflection and bounce, gets a nudge, tries to sell that it should be a penalty, but the referee says no. We will have a goal kick.
That was a decent play by Maitland, obviously getting through the lines there, getting it wide to Amos, and unlucky not to get anything out of that in the end.
So a momentary delay while we retrieve the ball. Daniel Bartels, I think, was having a chat with the referee about the fact that maybe an opponent kicked that away, and I think at this point in the game, if you're up by a goal, you're just happy to take a breath, aren't you? Bartels goes long, bounces in between two Maitland players. Lucas races up for it. Stableford gets a touch, but Lucas comes away. Sophie Nenadovich thought about winding up on the challenge and decided better of it. Now spitting in and out of it, both sides like a pinball. Enswing bounces around, takes it wide on the left, steps over, cuts back, lays it off for Kearney. Has a chance to cross it, thinks better of it, cuts back in. Now she's drawn two defenders. Can she get a pass away? She pops it back, Sophie Nenadovich to Stapleford. Stapleford crosses it into the box looking for a target, headed towards goal, but bounces up easily. And the striker was offside. I think it might have been Gawthrop racing forward there. The flag goes up.
Yeah, and Stapleford can put those types of balls in from the left-hand side. Left-footed curl, just a little bit closer to the goal, and obviously with Gawthrop offside.
It's an awkward one for Stapleford. Lucas takes it away, gets a nice little pass in front of Martin, who lays it out, and it's picked off by Nenadovich. She threads it wide. Trying to run numbers to overload. They drop it back now into the pocket for Gawthrop. She goes around Dickey, passes it down the line for Neal. Good. Players have ended up in the bench here after the ball's gone, and Gawthrop's had a bit of a collision. I'm not sure what's happened in the end there. I don't know whether she's ended up collecting the coaching staff from Azzurri.
Yeah, I'm not sure. A couple of the girls obviously ran over there pretty quickly, so she's up and about now, holding her head. So hopefully nothing too serious.
Not too sure. Got a fourth official and assistant referee over there who might have seen something. I think that's the conversation. But we are going to have some changes here. Looks like Gemma Simon getting ready to come on.
Do the goal kick as they're running up, so then there's more time.
Maybe Sarah Knowles as well. I think that's exactly what it is. Simon and Knowles going into the defence.
Hit the ball. Come on, girls, gotta keep it.
Hard to make out with a little bit of rain who the changes were, but we'll work that out in a second.
Up. We can't be that deep.
As we said pre-game, it's a luxury having the likes of Gemma Simon to come on.
No way. Jules and Izzy, talk to each
Ollie
other.
Martin and one of the other centre backs might have gone off, I think.
Now run up, go.
Tago Paragilli for Gemma Simon. That looks like what it is. And Knowles for Martin. Freshening up their defensive unit. Azzurri, and now it comes across. It'll be a throw. Lana Kearney will take it. Simon gets her first touch and clears it away. Poke forward now. Ayres with time. Pops it into the legs of a defender and comes across for throw-in.
You two, talk to each other because your lines are over the field. Jules, if she's not up, you can't step.
Throw down the line from Knowles. Enswing gets a touch on it. Pops up nicely, Mary Enswing. Amos now with a spin. Turns away to take it. Gosler down the line. Amos pushes it back. Now Maitland settling back into that rhythm, using it through their defensive unit, trying to play it out. They go all the way back to Thornton, who's outside her box. Trying to work Ayres over.
And she's given up there. Obviously they're playing it around at the back and she's chasing hard, but you know, when you've got 3 against one, it's a little bit hard to win the ball.
Emma, close up. Ali, relax, let us sit.
Certainly got through plenty of metres today, Melina Ayres. Mary Enswing plays that wide. I can't pick whether this rain's going to start, stop, or just drifting in and out at the moment. It's enough to frustrate rather than really wet anything too much.
Any good, doesn't have to be square. Don't play square, good. Hey, good. Well done, Eddie.
Maitland given a free kick here. What can they conjure in the attacking third? We said there was going to be lots of goals, and we're past halfway in the second half and nothing, Tara. Commentator's curse.
That's it, yeah. I was really excited to see more goals. So.
Maybe next time at half-time when we've had 5 in the first half, we'll just say, oh, look, law of averages says there'll be none in the second half, and then we might get some. Lofted forward into the box, Bartels parries it away. Enswing turns. Can she poke it through the crowd? No, she can't. On a second follow-up strike, Carter cooks it with the left well over the goals.
That's the centre-back curse, coming up for corners and you get that opportunity and she's just leapt back and left foot over the top.
She certainly got plenty on it. As she said, just scooped it over the top. Centre-backs too, they don't get many chances. They should be kicking herself about that one a little bit later on.
I always laugh at training when we're doing shooting practice and the centre-backs join in and I just think, why? But it's those exact times where
I was going to say, your mate out here, Gemma Simon, might have some words to say to you about that after the strike she hit here last time we commentated her. So that's exactly why we practice, as would one of our co-commentators in Cass Davis. I mean, she's a defensive midfielder. She fills in at centre-back sometimes. But as you know well from last season, she certainly knows the way to the net these days.
She does now, yeah. How many games did it take her? 100 odd games to get her first goal, and then she just can't stop scoring them now.
She was leading the club at one point. She scored plenty in her stint in the NPL last year too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think she was pretty close, if not golden boot.
So Tell you what, one of her current club mates might take some running down this year, I reckon. What do you think?
Yeah.
What are you up to? 18 at the moment?
I think so, yeah. See if she can catch me, hey?
She's coming from a bit of a handicap in terms of games, but anyway. Look, I'm sure you'll both be happy to score plenty and drive New Lambton that little bit further than you went last year into the finals, sitting in a pretty good spot at the moment.
Yeah, that's it. I'm happy to get the heat taken off me and, you know, a couple of other players out there that can score goals and that can take a little bit of the attention off me, so maybe I might get a few more.
I'm really looking forward to it. It's not far away when those A-League players will be able to return to the league. Cass, and there's a few others floating around at a few other clubs as well, I believe. So I know that, as we see another foul, things are starting to get very willing out here. I think we saw Milan Hammond and Lara Gooch sign with Lake Macquarie. There's a couple of other names that are whispered and rumoured at a couple of clubs. I think there might even be a whisper about another A-League star maybe at your club, but I'm not sure. There's lots of rumours. There's a lot of people talking.
I think we'll wait till we see it, hey?
Yeah, exactly right. Well, it's exciting though. I think it's great. It's a good opportunity for some of the young girls coming through the NPL too to get to play alongside some of those current A-League stars. It's something the men's competition doesn't get the benefit of. But yeah, for the women's competition, it's a phenomenal piece that there is that benefit. Although I know a couple of people like Cass do. She's not pumped that she's missing these 30 days in between. She'd like to just go straight in. Yeah,
that's right. And I think, you know, with these A-League girls, the opportunity to go to Sydney is obviously, you know, quite easy to be able to do, and you know, it's a better competition, if I must say. But you know, for them to come and play in the local, you know, Newcastle comp, it's really helping our competition. And you know, the girls that get to play with these players, it's probably just a real experience and to learn off them and see, you know, how can I get to that next level.
I agree. As Maitland going on the attack here, shot from range, well across the face from Stapleford again, I think, is it? But yeah, to that point, I think it is great, and the more of them that come in, the more that gap's going to close. And I feel that gap is starting very incrementally to close. We're starting to see players who, you know, are playing in Sydney and maybe just looking for an opportunity to be a bit more of a senior player coming up to Newcastle and a couple of the teams, which is good. The ball's threaded back in from Lucas.
Yeah, and for plenty of years I did drive to Sydney to training, you know, a couple of times a week in the games, and it does get pretty old pretty quick.
We're only talking about it before, especially for, you know, they play Sunday nights too. For the emerging Jets girls, a lot of them, they're young, and if you've got to work the next day and you're coming back to Newcastle, it's quite a toll. And especially, you know, if I have a look and use someone like Cass as an example, if you're then going down to Sydney every weekend, if she was to, you know, you're still working a job as well as playing a full, almost, you know, 10 months of the year playing football. Like, that's a lot of toll, you know. And unfortunately, that's one of the challenges with, you know, we could wax lyrically probably, you know, to close off Female Football Week with the, you know, making it more of a full-time career in terms of it, which is interesting because, you know, the NPL in Sydney and the A-League class as professional leagues. And we're seeing a cast of thousands changing here. End swing, and is that Gawthrop going off? Also going off Kyra Dickey. So end swing coming off, and Georgie Williams coming on. Just trying to work out who that other change was. The fourth official's ball was going in rapid succession there.
And that's Josie Moore that's just come on as well.
That would make sense coming on for Gawthrop.
And there she is. First touch of the game.
Yeah, the knee tape's a giveaway, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
As we said, great to see. Quite a phenomenal story. Did an ACL early in the NPL season, and thanks to some good genes or something, is able to play on with no ACL due to the stability of her knee, which is a real rarity. So she's out here for the last 15 minutes. And now just trying to pick up who the change was that came on for Azzurri as well, because they made one at the same time and snuck it through. A nice turn there. Goes across and beats both players. Turn there, and there's the change, which is Holly Vitnall. She's come on for Kyra Dickey, has she? Headed back there, Gosner. Probably good fortune rather than good management. Finds its way directly to Thornton from the deflected header. Physical challenge there. Amos comes in. Perplexed Charlestown. Matty Gallegos thought that she should have had a foul. We head into the dying stages of this one. Charlestown with the ascendancy. Maitland looking to snatch it back. The League Cup final. Just a goal separates these two sides. Played down the line from Kearney. Pops out nicely. Georgie Williams is going to race forward, but Bartels comes out and scoops it up from her. Bartels goes long. Out falls. Push forward from Lucas. Ayres with an air swing. Carter pushes it across the line. Knowles with the throw. Deflected on gently by Ayres. She comes away with it and she slices it across to the left looking for Gallegos. Neal and Gosner get it forward. Morley pushes it on. Now it falls, ball threaded forward looking for Amos. Simon heads it away. Nanardovic now finds Amos. So that's Morley. Morley racing forward and just can't quite get there in time. Maitland need to find something very quickly, Tara. Heading down to 12 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, I think the game's in a bit of a lull at the moment, and not much is happening right at the attacking end for both teams. So I think Maitland need to find another gear if they want to try and level this game up.
Charlestown happy just to control the tempo. Ayres drives it long. Trying to put it out in front of the pace of Gallegos. She closes quickly. Gosner does well just to shepherd it across the byline, and it will come back and we'll have a goal kick.
Yeah, and a little bit of a change for Maitland here. Sophie Staplefoot's moved up front in place of Enswing, and then Poutney's moved into the number 10 role.
It's not controlled by Williams. They need to be a little better with the execution, Maitland. Knowles will take the throw. Lucas calling for it. Bittnell presents, turns well, takes it away from Nanardovic, then up against Carter. Beats Carter but can't take it away from Kearney, and Nanardovic cleans up the crumbs. Sends it wide quickly to Amos. And Gosner now drives it long. Simon breaks it up. Maitland just looking a little rushed at the moment. It's going okay, but just needing to find an opportunity. And that's the challenge here, isn't it? As the time ticks down, the pressure, you know that it's there. And even though you know that it's your game plan that's delivered your first two goals, it's easy to quickly try and rush something or try and go long rather than sticking to the plan to try and find that instant hit.
That's right. You lose a bit of composure and you're just trying to score, right? So you're trying to just play it forward, maybe a little quicker than they normally would, and that's probably when it falls apart for them as well. They're trying to rush it forward, and that's not really their game.
Azzurri in control. 10 minutes on the clock. Can they hang on, or will we see an equaliser from Maitland? Long from Bartels. Ayres awkwardly reaching for that one. Nardovic down the line, sends it out in front of Amos. Simon's going to shepherd it across. Appealing on the challenge as the rain picks up again. Now, after some communication, I'm assuming, with the assistant referee, as the rain starts to team down again here at Spears Point, we're going to have a free kick just inside the western touchline, the way of Maitland. Well, that had all petered out to nothing, and there was some appeals after the fact, and the referee's gone and sought clarification.
Yeah, it looked like Sophie Nanardovic had sort of got taken out down the line there. Someone just clipped her, she took her a touch, so looks like the assistant referee and the referee have made the decision to call that one.
Come back for it. This will be an interesting one. Wide out on the right. And 25 metres from the byline, only a metre or so in from the sideline there. As you can see, the rain coming down, the umbrella's up, goes into the box. A little bit scrappy. Georgia Brown deflects it down. Lana Kearney gets ahead to it. Melina Ayres tries to kick the cover off it. Maddie Gallegos is cleaned up. Tempers fraying here. Melina Ayres giving the referee some feedback. Both teams have to be careful here. Tempers really starting to test the edge of everyone's patience.
That's right. It's going to be an interesting last eight or so minutes of regulation time here. The challenges are getting a little bit heavier. The pressure's building.
Again, we talked about it before. People might question whether some of these cups and things mean as much to the players. I think the way they're throwing themselves into these challenges, in the challenging wet conditions, just shows how much it means, as we see Janet Fraser come off second best that time to Josie Morley. And Georgia Amos out wide. Plays it down the line, but no one there. Simon will come back and retrieve it. Looks like Charlestown happy just to try and play it down Maitland's end. Annabella Thornton. Just toying with Melina Ayres. Now the ball lofted forward looking for Williams. Stapleford tries to drop it down to the path of the teammate. Couldn't get enough power on it. Maddie Gallegos dropping back into... She dropped back into defensive 5 now, has she? Looks like we've got 3 back. She's sort of playing back there, or she... No, she just dropped back temporarily to cover for Brown. I was going to say, well, it would have been a bit aggressive from Charlestown to try and start parking the bus with 7 minutes to go and only a 1-goal lead.
Yeah, I think she obviously covering her teammate and then a little bit lazier to get up again. Needed that rest. She has been running a fair bit.
Thought it might have just been forced to have it too. You know, she forgot she was a striker for a minute. She's headed back there. Hang on, no, this isn't me. I'll go. Ball looking for Ayres there. Gosner does well to pick it off. Now Charlestown surging forward. Well, broken up and taken from the feet of Lucas and cleared downfield. Gemma Simon advancing, gets headed to it. Morley plays it wide. She gets it back. Does well to turn inside Vitnell. Comes away from Ayres. Not quite as well weighted as she might like for Carter, but Carter now taking it on. She's going to engage Lucas and try and play it forward for Williams. Is she? No. Williams pulls up. Williams sniped by the wet grass. Gets back to her feet. Kearney's coming forward. Carter. Down to 6 minutes on the clock as Carter plays it forward. It's kicked off there. Hunter does well, but then eventually dispossessed. Pountney thinks about loading up, fires the ball, looking for a hole in the defence. Gets past a couple. Williams, what can she do in the box? Little touch on it, was it? No, no touch, says the referee. Must have been close. That'll be a goal kick. Danielle Bartels will take a time here, you think, Tara, as it ticks down further. 5.5 minutes remain in the League Cup final. Charlestown Azzurri within touching distance of a second piece of silverware for 2025.
Maitland are still pushing. And when Charlestown get the ball, they're just trying to look long. They're just trying to get it away from their goal and see if they can get anything just like this.
Opportunity there, but Georgie Williams tracking back did well just to run Knowles off the ball. There's some smart football. She knew she didn't have to do enough to sprint and get back there, just to give her goalkeeper a little more time. Now, Knowles is pushed right forward. Now the ball pops up looking for Vitnell, but Gosner's there. Plays it back to Thornton, who'll power it along the ground. Will O'Neill dispossess. Gallegos cuts inside. She thinks about a shot, takes it on the second go. Brought to ground and deflected away, which is enough for Thornton for the time being. Gallegos still there. Plays it into the legs of Nanada-Vick, and it'll be a corner for Charlestown late here. A chance to ice it for the Azzurri.
Yeah, and I think Gallegos, you know, a weaker right foot there. That was on her left. I'm sure could have forced a little bit more of a save away from the goalkeeper. But another chance here for Charlestown with this corner.
Now the corner. Melina Ayres sniffing about at the back post. Holly Vitnell heading towards the front. They surge towards the front post. Ayres is going to try and get up. Nanada-Vick heads it away for the time being. Knowles has been busy since she's come on. Former Jets Academy product now chipped in to the box by the captain in Fraser. Vitnell powering forward, thinking about taking a wind up before it trickles across the sideline. And now to be an Azzurri throw.
He's injured by Lane and physio.
Knowles throws it forward for...
I agree. I was helping you by saying she's injured.
Chelsea Lucas couldn't quite control it, but a deflection off Maitland last. Knowles another throw. Tries to find Ayres, but taken away for the time being. Dana Fraser comes surging in. Knowles switches it across. Ball drops down. A lot of animation. All of a sudden, a mix up there, and Ayres can't quite get it on target. But the last touch off Thornton, and we're going to have a corner here with less than 3 minutes remaining.
And that was an awkward bounce, a tough touch for Molina to take there, and obviously just got away from a little bit too much to get that finish on goal.
Defend the space.
Just an extra ball on the pitch for a moment there. Sarah Knowles has been dealing with everything else since she's come on. She deals with that as well. And now Charlestown with another corner here.
Help each other.
Just over 2 minutes remaining. They come into the pack. It's headed. Deflected backwards from Nenadovich again. Williams racing down. Pushes it down the line. Knowles will retrieve. Pops it back. Now driven long. Charlestown just trying to work it around. Gallegos pushes it down the line. A little touch from a Maitland player. We'll see a throw in as we head inside the last 2 minutes here. All to do for Maitland. Azzurri hanging on and leading, chasing that second piece of silverware. Could set them on the path for an almighty season. More trophies to come, is it? They've got a second one to try and secure.
Well, I hope not. Yeah.
I was going to say, there might be a few other sides that have something to say about it, but for the time being, it's just Maitland that can interrupt this one. The clock ticks down. Georgie Williams trying to time her run. She holds on. Sophie Nenadovic's going to do it all herself, is she? No, she lays it off. Lana Kearney plays it across. Now they're ranging forward. Pountney drives it forward, looking for a forward runner. And all of a sudden it goes the other way. Chelsea Lucas looking for her second. Ranging into the box, gets towards the 6-yard box. Stopped well, and Thornton does well, diving, falling forward onto it. Inside the final 60 seconds, and then it'll be at the referee's discretion. They go long. Georgia Amos now playing up top as part of a two-striker formation. Got 4 up the front now, Maitland. They're going all out looking for goals. Amos comes out of that one hobbling a little. It'll take more than that to probably slow her down. And here she is straight away on the ball again. Drops it back. Stableford. Morley. Morley under pressure. Plays it all the way back to Carter. Now pushed forward and they turn it over. Maddie Gallegos just hacks it downfield. Happy to chew down the clock.
Charlestown have numbers behind the ball, and then any time they get it, they're just kicking it forward, getting it away and trying to protect their goal.
Just waiting for the fourth official. He's got the board ready. 6 minutes of added time. That's a little bit perplexing. Had 1 minute with 5 goals in the first half. I know we've had a couple of injuries in this half, I suppose. They've probably added to that. We had Mary Ann swing down for quite a bit with treatment, and Will O'Neill as well. So,
Come on, Jets, keep going.
Maybe on reflection.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, I find it puzzling. It seems that in a lot of games, and it's not just at this level, as we see Charlestown trying to go on the attack here. Ball spills free. Lana Kearney just gets in there and sends it away for Gosner. But it's almost like they keep some of the stoppage time from the first half up their sleeve for the second. It feels. Again, I'm not inside the referee's inner sanctum, so I don't know if that's how it is or, whether it's a dramatic effect. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought, as you say, 5 goals, a celebration. Does that count towards?
Well, even if it's 30 seconds, that's 2.5 minutes,
that's right? Yeah.
But do they carry it over? Is it some sort of rounding thing, or It's beyond even my mathematical skills, and I'd like to think we've both got reasonable mathematical skills with our backgrounds, but anyway, it's a different sort of maths. It's like boy maths versus girl maths. We could go in that, and that could be a whole other thing. But anyway, what a finish we've got on our hands. We're into stoppage time here. There's plenty of it. As Female Football Week comes to its peak with the Northern New South Wales Women's League Cup. Bartel sends it long. Lucas heads it on.
Ali, finish the game off now. Well done. Really good.
Carter sends it forward. Both teams just trying their hand now. Racing back. Simon and Bartel's watchful. Bartel's happy just to let it roll back to her. She's going to draw Stapleford right in and then pick it up. Just to chew down a few more seconds on the clock. It's Azzurri's for the keeping. Maitland needs something magical here if they're to take this to a shootout. Bartels goes long. Contest between Carter and Ayres. Pushed forward by Maitland. Optimistically driven down the line. Again, I think Maitland is sort of hitting and hoping here. That turned out okay for them. They're surging forward here. What can they conjure? Stapleford sends it down the line, so that wasn't Sophie Stapleford, that was Renee Pountney. And Azzurri will just walk to this. They'll meander back for the throw, deep in defensive territory for Brown. Now they go long. Bounce beats 3 or 4. A little bit of push and shove. Gosner and Ayres. Ayres gets a boot in there. Now they try and play through the middle. Plenty of Azzurri numbers there closing things down for Morley. Carter drops back. Gosner now down the line. Neal does well. Puts it into the box for an advancing opportunity that almost appeared for Amos. Was almost inch perfect, but Bartels was up to it.
Yeah, needed a little bit more curl on that ball, a little bit too close to the keeper, and Georgia Amos is fast, but she's not quite that fast.
Certainly not, but Maitland not dying wondering. Sophie Nenadovich goes on a ranging run. Alina Ayres with a clumsy challenge here. She's going to say she got the ball, but I think it was her left boot that got the ball, and her right boot absolutely came through Sophie Nenadovich. Sophie, though, realising she's on a yellow card, got up and chose not to react this time. She's learning.
Very smart, yes. And another opportunity, another set piece here for Maitland to see what they can get out of it.
They push the numbers forward. Gosner will take it. She drives it towards the 18-yard box. Azzurri just making sure they clear it any way possible. Nenadovich, a little step past, dispossessed. Fraser racing down, and then she just buries it deep, wide and left. A race away over the line. Only a couple of minutes could remain. And throw to come. Gosner goes back to Thornton. Thornton toying with Ayres again. Gosner goes down the line. Azzurri come away with it for a moment before Morley steps in, and a clattering challenge that the referee says play on. Maitland surging forward. Gemma Simon gets a boot in and does well to just push it across the sideline, and now we're going to go back for another yellow card, I think. Is that Vitnell getting the yellow card this time? Looks like it is. Players probably a little more willing to get the yellow cards in the last minutes of a cup final.
That's right. When you're up 3-2 and you're a couple of minutes away, then whatever you need to do to stop that ball going forward.
And if I'm not mistaken, the cards don't carry over to the league competition, right? So I don't believe. Normally it's away. Well, interestingly, I did see that one of the Lambton players who was suspended, Pat Bond, I think it was, during the week, served one of his games of suspension in the Australia Cup. So, yeah, not quite sure that might be changed. So, it'll be interesting to see. We'll get some clarification on that. This one sees Thornton racing out and pushing it back down the line and pops it into her own bench almost. Can't be long left here. Charlestown, no. They've got one and a bit hands on this trophy at the moment. Looking to make it 2 bits of silverware. Maitland still not giving up. Azzurri taking their time, just chewing up every moment they can. And no time is on their side. They just need to whittle it away bit by bit. Maitland now with the throw. They go long immediately. Georgia Brown gets a boot to it. Gosner ready to get things moving quickly. You can see some heavy and tired legs here as we get deep into stoppage time. Air swing there. Nenadovich spills it, all of a sudden opportunity. A little wind up from Lucas looking for a second thought and kicks it into Lucas. Lucas is going to parry it back at her. Almost had the sealer.
There was a great chance for Lucas there, just a little bit more composure.
Ball prodded on. Williams was almost free there. Amos kicks it forward. No one running on the advance.
Maitland just forcing that ball forward. They're trying to get a goal. There's probably less than a minute left now, and doing whatever they can to get it forward and try and get something on it.
I know every failed attempt ticks them closer to League Cup heartbreak. Nenadovich has been busy. She lobs it forward. The offside flag goes up. Azzurri breathe another sigh of relief. And there goes the full-time whistle. It is Cup glory for the Blues. And they make it 2 trophies in 2025. Charlestown Azzurri are your 2025 Women's League Cup winners, avenging their regular season loss. And it's a performance full of hunger and belief. They came out of the blocks fast, and Heath White said they'd be ready, and they've proved it on the big stage. Tara, is the literal game of 2 halves as our wonderful friend the rain comes back. How do you reflect on Azzurri and what they've delivered out here tonight?
Yeah, look, they came out really hard. Obviously, to get 2 goals in the first, 10 to 15 minutes, Maitland were chasing the game the whole time, and Maitland couldn't play their usual game of possession-based football, and they were a little bit rushed. They found the period in the middle there to, obviously get those couple of goals back, and then we thought we were going to see more goals in the second half, and we didn't see any, so it definitely was a game of 2 halves tonight.
Well, the good thing was we didn't see too much more rain, although we're going to have some rain for the presentations, and look, congratulations to Charlestown Azzurri. Congratulations to both their sides. A very fitting cap-off to Female Football Week. Remembering it's a week of celebration of all the wonderful females in our game, not just those on the field, but those behind the scenes as well that have helped them get to where they are, as well as all those ones that make up the wonderful administration, canteens, transport, referees, and all of the other aspects that bring football together. Female commentators as well, like yourself, Tara. A big thank you to you, and a big thank you to everyone for tuning in. Charlestown Azzurri are your Women's League Cup champions for 2025, running out 3-2 winners after a scoreless second half. I'm Chris McPherson alongside Tara Andrews, signing out for your evening. Don't forget, every game of the NPLW will be live for the remainder of the season and free all season long on the Northern New South Wales Football YouTube channel. That I was scheduling their heated moments for when we had stoppages. I thought there was a challenge in here. I don't know if you picked up on it, and that's what the part was. And Ryan's like, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, he's fair. That's what they're playing. I'm just trying to tell you that you need your pistol.
What is the score in it?
Their scoreboard's on their own.
I saw them celebrate 3 times. Shame Maitland couldn't get one back at the end there.
Would have been good if they had to go on with sort of 5 or 6 minutes, and then even if it was 3 all going to 6 minutes of stoppage time, because then I feel like we went in there. I'd really like to put them on a couple of those last set pieces.